Welcome to our in-depth education for today. We have a new topic, which is on the 4 steps for you to own your expertise. So welcome to class. If you would love the download that we have, I'd love you to just comment below, comment expert, and the team will get the download to you. And so today we are going to cover the 4 steps that you can do to own your expertise and become a sought after coach, which I know you like the sound of that. We're also going to discover the 4 mindsets that keep coaches in a loop of doubt and questioning their knowledge and also their results. And then also the very last, we're going to cover the big trap that most coaches get caught in, and the outcome and why they get caught in that is it's going to seem counterintuitive as what you think it might be, but I know that it will land for you, so stay tuned. So again, if you'd love the resource for this training, and anyone who's watching live, comment live below. If you're watching the replay, comment replay. And if you'd love the download, type in expert in the comments below. If you're watching the replay inside of Maximum Growth Academy, check out the download. It's just on the gold button. Okay, so thought we'd start with, if we're going to look at defining or getting you to become an expert, we have to define what an expert is, because we want to know what it is, where it is you would love to go to, and what you'd love to create within your business and your expertise as a coach. So first of all, you're going to have, as an expert, you're going to have a deeper knowledge and understanding on a particular topic. And so there's an element of mastery of that particular topic, which means that when someone comes to you, there's not that fumbling and trying to figure out what you're doing. It's more ease and effortless when it comes to being able to serve and help someone. It also means that you're able to apply the knowledge in certain circumstances or various circumstances and be able to help them. And so how do we then acquire expert knowledge? How do we acquire expertise? And so we can do that through education, through training, through hands-on real-world experience. And so I know that a lot of people who have their expertise, they've come from the hands-on experience. And particularly as a coach, there's only so much learning that you can do from a book, but you have to go and apply it and share it and practice it with people in order to become an expert. So you need like real world life experience. You got to have your time on the tools to be able to become an expert. You know, you get good at playing the piano until you start playing the piano. So there's only so much reading we can do about it. So let's go into the 4 steps which get you to have a deeper understanding of your expertise. So I'm going to share my screen with you right now. You might want to get a pen and paper out, and we are going to go through this together. If I can get it working. If not, we will just be flexible. I'll try one more time. All right, I'm going to try something different because my iPad for some reason isn't working. I'm going to do the whiteboard. Let's give it a go, team. Let's give the whiteboard a go. Okay, so when we look at owning our expertise, there are 4 dynamics that we want to look at when it comes to the ownership of our expertise. So if you get out your pen and paper, we're going to do a drawing. So we're going to draw a cross here. And what happened to my drawing team? Let's try one more time. Will that work? I think so. Stay with me. No. All right. I'm not going to have to be we've got to work with what we have. Hey team. So let me get out something for you instead, and I'll walk you through this. So give me 1 minute. Okay. Don't you love it? Like when you go to help someone to unlock their expertise, then your tech doesn't work. Yeah. Okay. First time for everything. Hey team. Okay. So I'm going to share with you now a diagram that is going to be helpful for you to understand the dynamics of owning your expertise. So on your screen, you can see this. So we've got our arrows. If you draw your arrows on, at the top, we have other. Down the very bottom, we have self. We have service and sales either side of that. So if you can draw that to start with when it comes to owning your expertise. So if we go through each of them, First of all, if we had the first step that we want to do in order to own our expertise, we want to recognize our expertise, because you have been studying, learning, absorbing information, acquiring information for a while on various topics that light you up and you feel inspired by. And so this is where your personal power lies with your expertise. And so you want to be able to recognize where that expertise is. Is it in health? Is it in human behavior? Is it in leadership? Is it in human potential or family dynamics? Like, where is your expertise and where does it lie? And so this is the self journey, because if we're going to go out to the world and we're going to go out and deliver a service, whatever that service is, so many people is like, what am I going to do? But it's like, how about we come back inward to start with and find out where's your expertise? Where's your power? What do you love to learn about? What do you gravitate to? What inspires you most with the topics that you learn? Where is your expertise? And let's start inside first before we go on the journey outwards. So then once we know that, we then want to think about, and I'm assuming most of you have been on the client journey for a while and it's not your first rodeo. So you've worked with people, whether it be free sessions or you've been paid. We want to have a look and define the person or define the individual. And so, because if we can find someone that we within ourselves resonate with, love working with, get a lot of inspiration from the individual that we work with, you're going to find that there's going to be longevity in a career, because one, you're going to continue to learn and recognize your expertise. You're going to learn in the things that you love most, and no point going and recognizing that you love learning about well-being, and then you go and start serving people with finances. It's not going to work. And so what we want to do is recognize that internal job, and as well as the people around us and the clients that we've had, who lights us up the most. So if we brought that down to one individual, we want to define that individual, like, who is it? So once we have that, our next journey is then going into the outside world. We want to be able to position ourselves in an industry, in a niche that we can make sales in, we can market ourselves out to the outside world. And so when we have different niches, so it might be like, trying to think now, like confidence coaching, it can be leadership coaching, health coaching, maybe it's like gut health if you go even more specific, maybe it's like personal training and mindset together, or it's business coaching, or it's so many different niches. And so what we want to do is, if we've discovered who we are, where our expertise lie, the type of client we want to, then the person we want to work with, the individual we want to work in, now we want to position ourselves into the outside world with our niche. And so once we have that and we start to go from that point, then we want to leverage and propel our expertise out to the outside world. There's no point going, what program should I write, or where should I speak, or what book should I write, if you haven't worked out, well, where's your expertise, who's the individual you're serving, what's the niche that you fit into, and then let's go out and leverage and propel. And then that part is really about the service that you do for others. That's where that journey goes for you, is in the journey outwards, not inwards. So when we leverage, we also then want to leverage in a way that feels congruent for us, because if you love speaking and then you say to yourself, well, I'm going to go and leverage by writing a book, but you don't like writing, it's not really your thing, and you love being around people and you love speaking to people and you love being in a crowd and you get a lot of energy from that, and there's really draining in the other, then maybe that's not the way to go leverage your expertise, because it isn't in alignment with who you are. It may be something that you think, oh, that would be a great thing to do because it's what I've been told to do, but it's not necessarily the wisest and smartest way for you to amplify. Because remember that we become magnetic to the marketplace when we're being ourselves, which is learning. If we go to the value determination process with Dr. Demartini, one of the questions asks you, what do you love? What do you read and about most? which is a value of yours. So you want to take the value that you have, you want to find the individual that values that, and you get inspiration when you work with them. You want to find what niche they fit into. So you now have a way that you can verbalize and you can target those particular individuals. And then we leverage you in a way that feels like you just being amplified out to the world in a way that feels like you can now create a sustainable long-term business based, an identity business based around who you are. And one of the things you'll say to yourself is, I get paid to be me. And that's what you want as a coach, being paid just to be you, which is very inspiring. So that's the journey that you'd go on to be able to, on the 4 steps to be able to own your expertise. So then what are the mindsets that people get stuck in when it comes to coaching and the doubts that creep up? And so there are four mindsets. The first is perfectionism. So this may or may not be you, but it's when we have these high unrealistic expectations placed upon ourselves or the delivery of the work that we're doing, and that it's very difficult then to meet those standards. And so that could be really difficult, and self-doubt comes up because the standards are so high. It's like you can't deliver a piece of content that has mistakes in it, or where your tech doesn't work. Oh my gosh. And it would just be like panic attack. And so the self-doubt creeps in. And then because of the perfectionism, you end up not doing it. Or you are like one of those people who've created so many trainings or courses, programs, or maybe you've written a book and it actually hasn't been launched out to the world yet. It's still sitting somewhere in your Google Drive and it's yet to be seen by others. And so that's perfectionism. The other is the fear of rejection and criticism. It is a big one for coaches when it comes to their expertise, because if we doubt ourselves and we don't believe in ourselves and we don't trust in ourselves and the wisdom that we have, then what can happen is we feel that what happens if I make a mistake? What happens if I say the wrong thing? What happens if what I say is judged? Then the result of that can be the avoidance of sharing your expertise because of the potential fear that you perceive of someone judging you. Because what happens if you say something and it's like, well, maybe I don't really necessarily believe in that, or there's some criticism of maybe the way you say it, how you say it, what you're saying, especially if we're doing universal principles and you're helping people to apply universal principles. And some people are like, I don't believe in that. Like there can't be neutrality in everything. What about XYZ? And so that criticism keeps you small. The other is, for some people, imposter syndrome. So that is where you feel like at some stage in your journey, someone's going to catch you out with this. You don't know what you're talking about, or you just have this like feeling inside that you don't deserve success, or that you doubt your abilities, or you're going to be exposed as a fraud. And so because of that, what can happen is the self-doubt and reluctance to keep on working and going out to the world. There's a lot of comparison that happens there as well, team. And so that stops people or freezes people from actually going out and sharing their uniqueness and their expertise. And the last one is the comparison trap. And so what I mean by that is, I saw this actually in one of the classes that were the trainings that we were doing inside of Maximum Growth Academy. And it was that comparison to others. So when we have a comparison, I'm thinking about a particular coach and they compare themselves to someone that's close in their industry. And so the more we compare our expertise to someone else's, what can happen is internally we shut our own expertise down. We minimize the very thing that we know, and we shut down our own contribution that we could be making. We don't get original ideas that serve humanity because we're focused on them and focused on their expertise rather than honoring and owning our own. And so the comparison trap is big. So there are the 4 mindsets that bubble up inside. We have just launched Maximum Growth Academy, and part of that, the onboarding that you do when you come into Maximum Growth Academy, is we have a training which is called Own Your Expertise. And during that journey, what happens is you go through there's a number of lessons that you do and trainings in there that help you shift inside and get you to fully own your expertise. So no more minimizing, no more putting it off, no more saying, I'm going to do that course and I'm going to put that bit of content out, next week, next month. It's like no more waiting, actually fully owning in the depths of your being that you are an expert and there isn't any more that you need to learn. So that brings us to our last part, which is the biggest trap that most coaches get caught in and why it seems very counterintuitive. So many coaches have a huge value on learning. If you are that, put it in the chat. Love to learn. High five to you. That is definitely something that a lot of coaches have. They like to learn and do courses and books and trainings and another certification and anything that will help to grow in their expertise. But the very thing that you think is the journey is actually the very thing that's hindering your journey, because learning for learning's sake is very self-orientated. And at some stage, we want to integrate that information and then share it with others. That's how we become an expert. It's in the doing and the integration of the work that we develop our skills as an expert. We get real life coaching experiences where you're going to develop your expertise and get it into application, and you get to see the dynamic play over and over again. And so you might assume that you need to go and learn more, study more, get more equipped with what you know. But what happens if, in order to own your expertise, the very thing you need to do is actually stop learning? Like actually stop learning and start doing. Start integrating what you know, applying what you know within, and then going out to the world. So I can say that as we do this, you'll raise your confidence, you'll own your expertise as a result, which is what you want. So we want to make that shift from there. And I can see that as we do, and I know as we do that, there's something that's going to shift and change, because with the word expert, we have this illusion that there's some level of mastery that we're supposed to get to. And so that illusion keeps us trapped in us trying to acquire more information. And so we want to drop that illusion, because we think that as we learn new methodologies or new techniques that we're going to become more effective with our coaching. But the application is what makes us effective. The integration of the work and living the work that we teach is what actually creates mastery for us. And so I want you to consider this: taking a break from learning, put some emphasis into the integration and the application of what you know. Come and maybe join us in at Maximum Growth Academy, because that's what we help you do, is for you to actualize your potential as a coach. You would love our classes, and we help you to overcome the fear of failure, own your expertise. We get you to pick a lane. We get to show you how to create a wealth mindset with the coaching that you do, get paid to do what you love, which is beautiful. So if it's something that you'd love to do, comment below and we can start a conversation with you. I'd love to. If you're already in the Maximum Growth Academy, I love seeing you. We had a very inspiring class last night. It was beautiful. We worked on actually this very thing, which is owning your expertise. And it's beautiful to watch people really step into their light and shine on the world in a way that feels very congruent and authentic for them. So that is a wrap for our in-depth question for today. I hope you found lots of value. Anytime you have comments, insights, realizations, share below in the comments. And I look forward to seeing you at the next perfect time.